Hi everyone, it's Shannon, aka Crossing, and today we are back with another island tour, but this time I am visiting the island in person. If you guys remember the spooky Suburban island tour, this is by the same creator, Colin, but this time it is his winter island, which I am so excited to see, and we actually have a very exciting tour today because I will be talking to Colin live. We are going to get on voice chat in just a second and he's going to tour us around the island and talk to us about all of the builds. So I cannot wait to get into this with you all. If you enjoy content like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. But let's just get right into the tour. Okay, I am so excited. We have landed here on Moon, and this is the winter version of that Suburban island, and it has all the 2.0 items. So I just know that this one is going to blow us away even more than the last one did. If you guys somehow don't know Colin.crossing, I highly suggest following him on Instagram. He is definitely one of, if not the most creative and talented Animal Crossing creator that is just sharing their creations with us. So here we are, we have Colin and two other reps on the island, which is nice because you get some more houses in there. And then we have a lot of cute villagers here. I really feel like their houses will fit the theme if he didn't customize them. And the dream address is down at the bottom. I am so excited to get into this. So let's get Colin on the voice chat and talk to him a little bit more about this island. Hello, Colin. If you just want to say hi to everyone really quick, we do have Colin now on voice chat, and he's going to walk us through the island and talk to us a little bit more as we go through everything.
Shannon and everyone, welcome to Moon, my winter styling of it. Got you a little gift there, just some treats to enjoy.
Let's see. Okay. Oh, we have a boba. I love it. And then the pocketbook is like my new favorite right now, which I'm really excited about. I think I'll hold to that. I just look I don't know. I look so regal with it. Okay, great. So we'll follow you around. I'll ask questions as we go, but I'll let you lead. I did want to ask, so is this what you're considering the winter version of the spooky Suburban, like autumn one, or is there a different theme to this?
It's definitely supposed to be the same island. Initially, I was planning on a pretty simple redesign. However, when the update came out and we got all of those incredible city items, I decided to go full city core with it. So there's a little less natural space than the first island, but it's definitely supposed to have a similar character.
Right. Yeah, I definitely get that too. I'm always just so blown away by the way that you set up these towns because
Thank you.
I don't know. My brain doesn't think this way. Like, do you plan it all out first? Do you just kind of go with the flow and see what happens? Do you have any specific process that you follow?
So I get this question a ton, and I always have a series of plans going on. I've got some sketches, some note lists, of just different ideas I have for islands. But when I get to the beginning of an island, I'll usually pick maybe 2 or 3 big builds that I want to feature, usually revolving around some of the codes that I create. And after that, it really is just piecing it together on the fly. That's kind of the fun part of the game for me, is stepping in and just trying to figure out how can I use this space in an interesting way. So I really enjoy the process. So it's a little half planned, half on the fly.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's hard to ever stick to a plan completely or stick to, I don't know, like a sketch 100%. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. I also absolutely love this little setup right here with the 2 houses and the inclines on each side. It looks so great. I love this.
You. I always wanted to do a sort of townhouse look, and the fence and those pillars really just sold it for me.
Yeah,
so happy.
I was thinking when those new fences came out, those iron ones, they were made for you. Because I remember the code that you made, and everyone on the last tour was like, I need that code. And this one kind of almost solves it. It's not as good as your code, but almost.
Oh, well, thank you. But yeah, no, it's a phenomenal item. I would take more half tile sized items. Any of them that Nintendo wants to give me, I love them.
I totally agree. I think we mostly get like 1.5 size items, which are just the hardest.
Which is the worst.
Yeah.
Easily the worst. But the half, like the simple panels and like the garland, the string light garland, those are all half. So that's really, really fun to play with.
Yeah. I think the thing about your builds is that everything looks so realistic. And
Thank you.
I think that is part of the reason why people are so blown away when you post a picture, because there's not many other, like, I don't know. There's a ton of amazing creators, so I'm not trying to say that, but I just mean I don't see a lot of builds on the daily where I'm like, oh my God, that looks so real. It just blows me away every
Thank you.
time.
And it's funny because that also was not intentional at all. When I first started designing, I just started getting kind of that compliment, and it did make me realize that some of the ways that I like to play with items and like some of the random items I like to use lend themselves to that kind of realistic style. So now I'm trying to lean in a little more. But thank you. That's really kind
Yeah,
and
I know.
very.
I realized once we were doing this, I'm like, it's gonna sound like I'm just complimenting Colin the whole time, but that's how I tour. So if you don't want to say thank you, it's totally fine. Because
Thank
the
you.
whole
I'll try.
tour, I'm gonna be like, amazing, amazing.
I try to be an incredibly polite person, so I will by reflex say thank you. But I just want to itemize. So we went through the new
Yeah.
version of the cul-de-sac. I wanted to do a little more city kind of cul-de-sac this time, and then we're going to sneak up to some of the only natural parts of the island, or natural-ish.
Okay. And are those mostly towards like the back of the island?
Yeah, so it's this. There's a couple little terraform spots that you just sort of see, but the main natural one is this build, which I've kept
Oh my
from
gosh.
Autumn Moon. But I simplified with the vines. You do not need to go into the pipes to access.
Those vines are actually such a game changer. And this reminds me, I think that this right here was the thumbnail of the video that I did for your last island. And it's
It was.
so nice to see it in the snow.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. I really love perspective builds, obviously, and I think the format of this one is just easy to play around with, so it'll be here to stay.
Yeah, I think you changed the game completely with the diagonal roads, and this is one of my favorite builds. I just love, like you said, the perspective of this. I love that you changed it out to the mountains back there. Oh, it looks so good. I really think, I don't know, if you got rid of this build, I would have been so upset.
Well, thank you. And for this season, I really wanted to change a lot more of it, but with the snow just kind of color scheme, it's hard to fit other plant items in.
Oh yeah.
So for my next version in spring, I'll have a lot of the newer plants like the chiflera and those items.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see that. I can't get over this mountain item either. It looks so real. And
It does.
yeah, the snow coming down, I think seeing the snow in the game just feels really magical. So it always just adds like the right ambiance to the winter islands, which I'm really enjoying.
Totally agree. The snow, just animations in this game, the weather systems, it's just beautiful to play around in.
Yeah. Oh, the little cave item is also amazing. I'm glad to see it there. Oops, I'm drinking my boba instead of going down instead of
All
going down the
good.
vine. Okay, here we are.
Okay, yeah, go around. So this is a little, just sort of a path, and there's a little overlook to a villager house. That's Cherry. She's just a kind of a void move in, and I don't like her very much, so there's no way to access her house.
I love that. Just lock them away if you don't like them. That's my idea. I just like hide them, and that's great because it just works kind of nicely. I like seeing the car down there on the second level too. It just adds so much dimension.
And that's what I love with. I mean, the car is hands down my favorite new item, but
Yes.
just those little perspective builds where you can't access them, I think makes your island feel bigger, even though there's less space to
Oh, that's
access.
interesting. Yeah, that definitely makes sense too. I never thought about that though. Like actually making areas that aren't accessible and it just feeling like your island is so much bigger.
Yeah, that little castle room is a similar situation. That is, I forget his name. He's a horse. It's like Stud or something. But I put him in a little prison. But then we get to my favorite three villagers, which got star treatment.
I love
So we've
that.
got we've got Wolfgang down here with sort of like a winter beachy build.
Oh, this looks so good. This is one of your new paths too, right?
Yeah, this little tile. I'm surprised that people asked for this. If to me, this is like very, very simple. I just sort of threw it together. But there's so many incredible snowy tile paths, especially on Instagram right now, that I was so inspired by. So I just had to make my own version.
I'm just laughing because you're like, yeah, I just threw it together. I cannot do pixel art for the life of me. So I think that's what makes, not only are your builds incredible, but just knowing that you make all of the codes too is just insane. Like the amount
Thank
of
you.
work and time.
I do
Yeah.
want to challenge you. I think you can. I think people can do pixel art, especially in Animal Crossing. It's like 32 by 32 pixels. When
Hmm.
you really get into it, there's not a ton that can go wrong. So I would really encourage you to try. It's a lot of fun, and I think you could make something really great.
Okay, maybe I will. Just because you believe in me, I might.
I believe in you should. You got
I
a great eye for design. I think you could make something really
Oh,
pretty.
thank you. So, do you ever get stuck when you're working on your island? I feel like your ideas just flow like really naturally.
Thank
Um,
you. I do get stuck a lot. For me, it's very hot cold.
mhm.
I consider myself to be a very like decisive person when it comes to making art. So usually, if I make something, I'll know exactly if I want to keep it or if I don't. But there was a time for this island, maybe a third of the way through, where I was really uninspired, and I think I spent a week. I would just open up the game and then close it without having done anything.
Right.
And what really got me out of that was recognizing that I had already laid out down all my roads, and I was like, "Oh, this plan. Let's just try changing it." I changed one road, and then I was like, "Oh, I know where the island is going."
Oh my
so,
gosh.
the advice I definitely learned from that is, and I would recommend to other players, is if you find yourself really stuck, there might be just like one thing you're holding on to, or like one plan you have in mind that you just need to abandon and start creating.
Yeah, that is such good advice. I went through something similar on my island where I just had this one build and it was kind of in the middle of my map. And once I got rid of that, I felt inspired again. But it's good to know that you get stuck too. We're not the only ones.
Absolutely.
And I
That's
love
exactly
this.
that. The carnival, are you having fun?
Sorry, I keep going back and forth, but I love it. Is this like a little, why can't I think of words right now? Like a carnival area?
So I initially wanted to make this sort of a Christmas market area, and
Hmm.
I in my storage there are probably dozens of different toy items in preparation for that build. And when I sat down to do it, I just put that kind of the kind of water gun duck game item, like the carnival game item.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, this one right here. And I was like, oh no, I'm really in love with that item. So I decided to just try all of the kind of green carnival items with some Christmas decorations. I really liked how it looked. It's fun, it's bright. So that was very spontaneous a few days ago.
I love it. I really like how that came out. I also thought us chatting on via voice chat, I would not get in your way as much, but I still am. So,
No, I'm literally like spinning in circles, so don't worry about it. And we're also at one of the only dead ends right now. This is just a little random. It's supposed to be the continuation of the tunnel from the other side, and I don't know why. This is maybe my favorite build on the island.
I love
It's
it.
it's hyper simple, and it's just very. To me, that's kind of what helps with realism is builds that maybe aren't that impressive scattered throughout more interesting builds because that's how life is.
Yeah, that's such a good way to look at it. Like that little parking lot that you had outside of the carnival looked so real. And like you said, every build doesn't have to be this like insanely beautiful thing. If it looks like something real, that itself is beautiful. So,
I think one
totally.
thing that I loved seeing is in the update we got so many different variations on like a plain wheat field of just the wheatgrass item. And that for me was such a breath of fresh air, all of these like really striking, simple builds that were just really effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's just so many, like, that's what we were asking for. I think a lot of the community was just more normal items. Like, we did not want any more, I don't know, themed
Yes.
items. And that was the
And
whole
we really
thing.
got it. We
Yeah.
really got like lifestyle items. Oh, and just to narrate, so we went over. The bridge was one of the first builds on this island. I knew I wanted to have this sort of multi-layer thing because I'm not a fan of winter, and I don't like in Animal Crossing, and I don't like the snow everywhere.
Yeah.
So I wanted a spot where it was kind of just these road codes. So I made
Hmm.
that little overpass,
I
and then this is
love
my
that. The overpass is amazing. I think using all the different types of cars too and having them facing different ways, it just looks very, very real.
And I think in the way that a lot of our islands are right now, basically all of our themes are 2.0 core. So I was just like, let me find a way to get the cars in it, the castle items, the city items. So maybe next island I'll be a little more relaxed.
You know what? That's so funny you say that because now I feel like I can't make a build if I'm not using 2.0 items. And
Sure.
sometimes, like, you just don't need to use the 2.0 items, but I can't stop. Or else I
No,
feel like the build's just not good. I don't have any 2.0 items in it.
and I remember at the beginning of the update, there were a lot of posts of people saying like oh, like beware, if you're not, using the items in a new way in a build, your build's not going to be interesting. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to worry about that. And then like every post, I'm like, has this been done before? Is this interesting? So at a
Yeah.
certain point, I really had to back up and just say like, I'm just trying to show off like what I've created. Like, let's try not to contextualize it, which helped me make more and create more.
Totally. And this use of the construction items over here, this is so smart. I mean, I live in New York City, so this just looks so realistic to me. And I
And then
like, yeah.
as a native New Yorker myself, I completely agree. I'm very used to. It's a funny thing. I don't know if this is so much in the city, but when I lived upstate, it was very a saying that New York has 3 months of winter and 1 month of construction. And so I kind of wanted to bring a little of that vibe into it.
Yeah. And terraforming this out was so smart. Like
Thank you.
I've noticed a lot, and something I try to do in a lot of my builds is have as many layers as possible because I just think it looks so much more interesting than just being on a flat surface when possible. So I love how you terraformed this too.
Thank you. You're totally correct. Sunken areas in particular are really,
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to play with.
Yes. Oh, this is a really nice museum build too. I always struggle with the museum, but I really like how this is with the centerpiece that you made and all of the different tiles here as well, just to like offset the road that you have all throughout.
Thank you. For this one, I try to keep my museum pretty simple because I have a hard time designing with it sometimes. So when I make it just like I have a square to decorate with, it can provide for some more fun results than the more organic look.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a little park.
Love this. I just really like the mix that you have going on here. I think something that I personally find to be challenging is when you use like road codes or trying to do a structured island for someone like me who's maybe more used to doing naturals, what to fill in these areas with. So how you have this park over here or how you have like these little shops that you've set up like over here with the display cases. I'm always looking for inspiration with things like that on how to like what to decorate around the roads with pretty much, which is really the meat of
Sure.
your island.
And I find this is the case with, even more natural islands is I think the most fun you're going to have with designing is go through your catalog and find that one item you've been saving that you're obsessed with but could never find a way to include in a build, and then base your build around that. And that's just the way you're gonna like those little odd spaces more, or that they're just your little shrines to that one favorite item.
Yeah, that's such a smart way to approach some of those empty areas that you might have on your island. So I'm definitely going to try that.
So these are just we went over a little bit of this before, but these are just some more shops.
I remember seeing this on Instagram and I love these display cases now. Ever since
Oh, they're
I
great.
saw, yeah, this picture that you posted, I it's just so smart and how you
Oh,
made
thank
the
you. And
whole building out of it. So
I do
good.
want to say that I saw that from Nora from Horrible Gaming.
Oh, yes.
I think that's her. It's her Instagram. I think it's also her YouTube. But she did like a Tropicore city build with them, and I was like, I can't, that's so smart. And it takes up so much space, so we don't have to do simple
Yeah.
panels and like bookcases anymore. I highly recommend it, and you can put stuff inside.
That is the best part. I didn't realize you could put things inside until I had gotten one of these items and I was blown away.
I love these mannequins. Someone
Yes.
on the internet, they pointed out how funny it is because it's like, what species are we, or what species is this depicting? Because it's so different than the character models. So that little
So
kind of
true.
it's just a little like kind of uncanny. That's why I like them.
That is really, I honestly did not think about that.
Because
But
I think
yeah,
there's something in the museum that shows like a human skeleton that's realistic. There's some like funny little differences like that.
I love that. That's so funny. I honestly did not even put that together.
I think I lost you.
Oh yeah, I think I got distracted by the cul-de-sac again.
I'm here. I
Oh,
think
okay.
there's one. I think there might be just one more spot we haven't seen.
Okay.
I can't believe it's already almost done.
Oh my God, is it?
We've chatted through it. It's a little bit of a simpler island than my autumn one. I think it's definitely more spacious.
I don't think that
Um,
this is simple at all. So,
well, thank you. And one advice to people doing city core would be you really do need to give these builds their space because my island is pretty laggy as is. Any more dense than this, and it can really kind of be difficult to maneuver around.
you
So that's
know,
just one city advice.
that's really good advice because I know a lot of people really hate the laggy islands, but your island has not been lagging for me at all, which I really am happy about.
Well, thank you. And one thing to also recommend is if you do have a laggy island, if you do want to have moments where you want to experience it better, if you have less light and shadows happening, so for example, it's a really overcast day today, your island will be a lot easier to load than when it's either really bright or when it's night and you have a bunch of lights on. So like a rainy day or a
Oh,
snowy day, you'll have a lot less lag.
that's so interesting. That makes a lot of sense though, because I guess from the graphics, there's so
There's lots to
much.
render.
Yeah, right. That's really good advice. Ugh, I
Um,
just
but
love panning around and seeing all these new angles too.
And that's also something that I love to put in the island, in my islands, is just these little kind of vantage points, or if you just stop and pull out the camera app and put it at that new angle, just like little fun things to see, things to kind of create yourself with the photos.
Yeah, and I feel like you always see something new or a little detail. And like we've talked about a few times in this, but all the little details are what makes your island feel so realistic and items that I wouldn't usually think to use until I started seeing creators like you and just other people that do more city core types of islands. I never thought to use a trash bag, honestly, until I think, getting inspired from some of you guys that do these more realistic islands. So I love that idea of just opening up your camera app and seeing new things every single time.
A quick tip on that, what I would also say is the thing that's led me to success there is having like a really extensive storage. My storage is almost always full, but it's
Hmm.
full of items that I either use a lot or just wanted to accumulate. So I'll go through and just like pick out 40 of those items and like run around my island and layer. Which just gets a little more realistic every time, or you can edit. I think it's a great way to get rid of your storage, but also create more realism.
Yeah, that's a really good idea too. And I I think the hardest part almost is like gathering up all of those items. But of course, there's a
Yes,
ton of treasure islands now to make it easier. But yeah, I think
yeah.
going in your storage and, like you said before, getting inspired by an item that you really like or just pulling out some items that you want to use is always a really good idea. I also just want to say for everyone, if you do come visit the stream address, there's definitely, like Colin said, so much to see as you look around. You can really spend hours on this island. I know Colin liked to say that it was simple, but you can just really look at any of the small builds or any of these areas on the island and have so much to see and just so much to like study and learn from the way that you set up your islands. So I definitely want to recommend that everyone, if you haven't yet, to go visit the Dream Address.
It was such an honor to have you come tour. I hope everyone out there, if you do visit, enjoys Moon. I will be making an update soon, so if you want that kind of nighttime snowy vibe, I'd visit soon.
Yay. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for having us. I hope that you guys all enjoyed this video, and I feel so honored that we got to actually get Colin here with us and chatting with us. I know a few people asked it from the last video. They said it would be amazing to hear us talking as you're touring. So we finally got to make that happen. I'm really excited. I'm going to do a little clap. But thank you again, Colin, and thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.